I'm John Chowney with Campbellsville University, welcoming our audience back to Dialogue on Public Issues. Today I'm interviewing a colleague of mine here at Campbellsville University, our Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost, Dr. Donna Hedgepath. Welcome, Donna.
Thank you.
It's good to have you back. I think this is your second visit?
5 years ago.
Really? It doesn't seem like that's possible.
It really doesn't.
Well, welcome back to Dialogue on
you.
Public Issues.
Thank you. I enjoy it.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background.
Well, I'm originally from Western Kentucky, a little known county for some called Fulton.
Right on the Mississippi.
Right on the Mississippi. As we see the river from our home. Great place to grow up. Graduated from Fulton County High School. Ended up coming to college at Campbellsville and fell in love with education. And so my career has been in education. I taught middle school and high school. Took a little break to work on my doctorate, went to UK, came back, and I was an adjunct faculty member, taught School of Music, School of Education. My passion has always been music, and so I was a high school choir director and did a little conducting at the college level and moved up into administrative roles in the School of Education, served as dean before being moved into the position that I'm in now.
You followed a living legend,
I
Dr.
did.
Frank Cheatham.
I did.
And he's still around.
He is my strongest mentor, and I see him just about every day. And he was very encouraging to me. When I took the role, I said I have big shoes to fill, and I appreciate the comment he made. He said, "Donna, you wear your own shoes." And so he's just been very supportive.
Very much so. He's very positive about the job you've done and are doing. Now, what drew you to Campbellsville back years ago as a student, coming all the way from Fulton County?
You know, it's kind of strange because my senior year in high school, I could not decide where I wanted to go to school. It was either Murray State, UT Martin, maybe go down to Bethel or up to Mid-Continent. Nothing really came to mind. I wanted to go to a Christian college. My pastor asked me if I had heard of Campbellsville. I said no, and we drove up and we visited my mom and my dad, and it was, I call it love at first sight, which my parents didn't understand because back in the late 80s, the campus was small. Some buildings were not open. It was, but I don't know. God led me here, and I felt the calling, and I came, and I've stayed.
All those other schools were much closer, were they not, to your home?
Yeah, I didn't really want to live at home. And
right.
For those who are familiar with my area down in Fulton County, right in the West Tennessee line, not a lot of opportunities unless you're a farming family or you're a teacher or you work for utilities, or I mean, there just really wasn't much for me to pursue. And I wanted to pursue music and worship and teaching, and this was just a good fit for me.
Was Dr. Winters president when you came?
My freshman year was his first year.
Okay. And so things have really changed then since you first came.
It really has. It's been exciting to watch. It's just a complete transformation.
What has remained the same, would you say?
Oh, that's a great question. And when I talk to those who have graduated from Campbellsville, even before me, it's the heart, it's the feel of the campus, it's faculty who care about you. It's just that feeling of family that to me hasn't changed. We've grown.
Right.
There's some more unfamiliar faces,
sure,
but we're very family oriented, and that's been consistent.
There's really almost two faces of Campbellsville in a sense. I don't mean we're two-faced, but in the context of if you look at the total numbers, kind of impressive, 14,000. But here on the main campus and at our regional sites, each of those sites remain a small educational community.
Right. And when I came, we had about 700 students on campus. We now have a little over 1,100 plus commuters. We have a few thousand or more who are actually coming to campus and going to class. And we have a large number of faculty. So needs are met, regional locations, we have the faculty, the students' needs are being met. And you're right, the mission is still there.
That core mission of
yes.
Christian higher education.
Yes.
Now, what appealed to you to come back to Campbellsville? I think you were in the Marion County Public Schools.
I taught at Marion County for 9 years. I was at Lebanon Middle School, Marion County High School. I pretty much started back a choir program that had gone away for several years. So they took a chance on me to come back, and I did, and I loved it. I had a very successful program with my students. And I tell you what happened, I finished my master's degree while I was teaching, and I fell in love with research.
Okay.
And I remember working some on my master's thesis and doing research in my classes, and I was hooked. And I met someone from UK at a conference, and we were talking, and he invited me to come to UK and meet with he and his colleagues. They had a very small cohort, music ed, in their PhD program. He thought I'd be a good fit, and it, again, I think just God led me there to the right people. And he did tell me, though, he's like, if you're going to be a full-time doctoral student, you're probably not going to be able to continue teaching full-time. And I had the family support to do that. And so I left that position. It was difficult, a lot of tears that day, my last day in public school education. And then I ended up teaching here part-time and working on my doctorate at UK for about 5 years.
What is it that draws people to music?
Well, I know in those tender years of middle school, which is my favorite age, I think. Some of my former high school students may take offense to that. But I think the draw of music is that it's a place where everyone can be themselves. It's comforting, it's therapeutic, it's what brings out your joy, it's comfort when you're hurting. And when you bring a bunch of students together who have nothing in common, and you produce a piece of music together and you do it well and you're proud of it, the camaraderie is so strong. It's amazing, because my Marion County students, I would start in 7th grade, they'd stay in choir all the way through their senior year. And we're still friends. I know when they're married and having babies, and it's a connection that music brings into your life. And for some students, it was that connection to performing that kept them from quitting school. So that was really part of my passion for music education. It touched students that a lot of other programs in the public schools never would.
But based on your time in the public schools and now at the collegiate level, is there a direct correlation between students being involved in other activities or studying in an academic area that engages them outside the classroom, and a correlation between that and their success and persistence and ultimately graduation?
You know, there is a correlation. I cannot cite the research off the top of my head, but it has been proven that, especially music education or the arts in particular, students have a tendency to score higher on tests, have a higher GPA, and to have a stronger bond of friends as they go through school, which retains students, and they want to complete. Same at the collegiate level. And you can look at a sports group, you can look at the marching band or other ensembles or the theater, any type of groups or clubs. When they have that common bond, they keep each other accountable and they stay. So absolutely there is a
And that's
correlation.
really true in life, don't you think?
It is.
If we're attached to social groups, church groups, clubs, organizations, we're more likely to be successful and happy.
I agree.
Now, what brought you back to CU? What brought you back this way then after the public schools and the PhD and so on?
Well, it was kind of a secret dream of mine to teach at Campbellsville. So when I was a student, I had such great professors who were pretty life-changing. Coming from I'm a first-generation college student, so although I had wonderful parents, they really couldn't give me the mentoring that I needed so I had professors who just adopted me and just held my hand through the process, encouraged me, pushed me, kept me accountable, fed me. You know, so it was just that experience. I wanted to give back, and actually I remember a moment walking down, it's called the Maple Trail. No one really calls it that anymore. To a class, and I remember thinking it would just be a dream for me to be a part of this faculty. I would just love to come back. So when I was working on my doctorate at UK, the School of Music, they offered me a position which actually allowed me to get a fellowship at UK, which paid for my doctorate. So that was really helpful for me because I wasn't working full time. I did not have to pay for my doctorate because of my connection with teaching here too. And then it worked out as I was doing that. School of Education dean asked me to teach a little bit, and then she invited me to be part of the full-time faculty. I was the first arts person to be in the School of Education. So that's just started that whole transition for me as I moved into more outside the music box into more of the specifically education.
And then about 6 years ago, Dr. Cheatham announced his retirement. A few of us became a part of a search committee, and we conducted a national search. Literally, we didn't just hire you because you were a nice person and that you were the first applicant, but you were a part of a national search for Dr. Cheatham's replacement. What prompted you to accept a nomination to be an applicant for that position?
Well, and that took time. And if you speak to a few folks on the search committee or some of my colleagues, they can share I was very stubborn. I had just taken the role as Dean of the School of Education. I was finishing my first year, and I loved it. That was a dream job for me. So I was fine not moving up that proverbial ladder. I wanted to stay and fine-tune that Dean position. But colleagues and folks continued to press. And I would pray about it, and I remember thinking, you know, why do they keep bugging me? And am I just not being open to it? And I tell you, there's a special moment. I was at a meeting, and Dr. Cheatham, he came up to me afterwards, and he said, Donna, have you thought about applying for my position? And I laughed. I thought it was funny. I said, you too? I said, no. And I went out to the car. My son was waiting for me. I told him the story. And he said, Mom, no one's laughing.
Right.
What are you waiting for? So it was a combination of Dr. Cheatham asking me and my son encouraged, kind of calling me out. And so my prayer was, okay, I will submit my documents. I updated my vita, and I let it go.
Right.
Didn't pursue, didn't ask, and just the process happened kind of organically.
It was a very detailed process. I was at the table.
It was.
I know.
But I wasn't too stressed about it because I knew I was okay where I was.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was a very detailed, exhaustive process. I went to a number of 7:30 meetings, which I hate 7:30 meetings, but that's just me. But so you're to be commended. Competing against nationally qualified folks and being the product in the selection. Then you became provost. What does that mean? What is a provost?
There are many definitions.
Okay.
So most universities use a definition that best suits their needs for a provost. Because I actually have dictionary.com and first definition I looked up said keeper of the prison. And I thought, well, that's kind of funny. But
I hadn't thought of it in that terms.
Right. So
there may be days
we've had a laugh about
way.
that, yeah. And when President Carter approached me about it, we were really starting to experience the exponential growth. And when you have such rapid growth and you have more locations, you're raising more money, you're having more connections, the president just needed to have more flexibility. So in our conversations, he had noted he would like to name me provost to just be there at the pleasure of the president. I fill in for him when he can't speak at an event or attend a meeting or what, you know, there's various different or I have to sign for him. There's so many different instances where I act in that role pretty much every day. I get a phone call, I can't make it, I'm stuck here in this meeting, and we just kind of tag team. So that's been that provost position when before it was just purely academics.
Right.
And, yeah.
You are essentially the number 2 person in the administration.
Yeah. I would say that's what that means.
I think that's what it means at Campbellsville University.
Yeah.
And the president is the president, but then you are his number 2 person in the hierarchy of the institution and represent him when he's not able to be present. Now, Campbellsville has become known as an innovative institution, albeit private, retaining its core mission as a Christian institution. A lot of new programs that have been developed and are still in the development stages. Tell us about some of those.
And you know, since my last interview, they almost seem old now because we're always introducing new programs. I wanted to mention our computer science program because up until just last year and a half ago, we just had a minor in computer science, and it was in the math department. We've since developed and have approved program a Master of Science in Computer Science, a bachelor's degree in computer science, and then the minor and the associate. So we have all the complete pathway to, through computer science. I'm really excited about that. It's offered online, and we also have some face-to-face at our Louisville site as well. That's become popular along with our information technology management program. Those are both new programs in the past 4.5, 5 years. Also, we have a complete pathway for nursing. When I started 5 years ago, we just had the ADN, which is the RN, and we're establishing the BSN online. And now we have the LPN, the licensed practical nurse, which is a certificate diploma program that you can join right after high school and finish within a little over a year, and you're immediately in the workforce. You can start on your RN, and while you're working on your RN, work on your BSN online, and then last year we just started the Master of Science in Nursing, the nurse practitioner program. So I mean, you can start as a SRNA in high school and go all the way through a nurse practitioner at Campbellsville. And I think that's a pretty exciting pathway. And pathways are really the focal point, especially with high schools and collaborating with universities. And we have several high schools that we're collaborating with. School of Theology, just introducing the MDiv has been pretty exciting as well. And there's a lot of interest there. Explain
a MDiv versus just a Master's of Theology, which we've had for many, many years.
Well, the Master's of Divinity would be considered, in our accreditors' terms, it's between a level 3 and a level 5. It's that level 4. A lot of your master's degrees have between 30 and 60 hours. The MDiv usually is 75 to 90 hour program. So you're acquiring a lot more hours, and it's traditionally been a seminary degree as well. And it can lead into the DMin, Doctor of Ministry. So to just take that, it's more of it's for our School of Theology, it's just creating a more rich environment or opportunities for those, especially in the ministry. The pastors want the MDiv.
In the medium-sized to larger churches, the MDiv is pretty much standard.
And our MDiv is the lower side of the requirements online
again.
And we've got some creative ideas for the future for maybe undergrad into grad and having a pathway through the MDiv as well.
Making it quicker.
Yes.
Cutting some time
and
out.
less expensive, which is a goal of every program.
But again, right now you can come to Campbellsville and you can get a certificate in ministry online, as well as associate, bachelor's degree, the MTH, and now the MDiv, all online or parts of those face-to-face.
Yes. Yeah.
So even a career path there
absolutely.
In theology.
And look at go to the School of Education. We have an associate's degree online in education, and we're in the process of having an EDS level 4 administrative degree approved online. So it's just all there. So if you do the online associate in education, that credentials you to be a substitute. And you can do that at home and then start working. And then so it's exciting.
Big demand for substitute teachers.
Absolutely.
Good qualified substitute teachers.
Yes.
You have PhD now.
Right. And again, we've been into the PhD for about 2 years. Our first cohort is graduating at the end of this year.
Wow.
So, it's exciting. We get to pick regalia. We've been having those conversations. So just
a PhD in management?
It's a PhD in management. It's through the School of Business and Technology.
A really exciting program that's not up and going yet, but that is in the being processed. Doctor of Chiropractic. Tell us about that program.
Yeah, hopefully coming soon is our first professional program, a School of Medicine for chiropractic, and I've been working on this as a little project for over 4 years, and finally got in contact with a good consultant, and we've contacted the national accreditors. We've talked to all the professional organizations in the state. Everyone's excited about the thought and the idea. So we are we've submitted our letter of intent to the Council on Chiropractic Education, and we expect to have approval on that this year. and then move forward with the sites, all the different hoops you have to jump through. And we plan to locate the school in Harrodsburg.
Right.
Location's very important in the proximity to the airport and to Lexington and that central Kentucky area up there. We think will be very popular.
But there's no chiropractic school in
will be
Kentucky
the
or
first.
any contiguous state, as I understand.
It will be the first, and we did, as you know, we went through a little legislative.
Right. Even had to get some legislation
We
passed
did,
a year ago
yes.
with the help of Bam Carney and Max Wise.
Yeah, so we're excited. It's moving forward.
Any other new programs you can think of that are in the planning stages? Tell us about the Technology Training Center and some of the exciting programs. You've touched on a couple of them, but that are being offered in the certificate, diploma, work-ready areas that are fairly new and that maybe even are still in the planning stages. Yeah,
coming soon again in Harrodsburg, we have a new plumbing program that we're waiting for approval. We have an HVAC and LPN is approved to be at the Central Kentucky Career Academy, and we just recently signed a partnership with Taylor County Schools and the other schools involved in the Central Kentucky
Independent Schools and
Greene County.
So on. Right.
So that's exciting, and we hope the HVAC, we're working on that facility now, and we hope to have something offered there as well. Again, a great pathway for high school students will start
welding.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Welding, and again, partnering with industry in the community. So that, and also several allied health. We have, of course, cosmetology and barbering. And what we're doing some specializations within that. We're starting an esthetician certificate within cosmetology. We have different types of welding that we're introducing based on the need of the organizations we may be working with. And we're working with some other industries on some engineering type programs, which is completely new to us.
Right.
But it is a need, and we found that students who leave high school, of course, and if you ask me later about changes, I'll talk about student debt. No one wants to go into debt, and they want to enter the workforce quickly.
Right.
And they want to make a decent paycheck.
Right.
And these all hit that requirement.
And federal and state policy are moving in that direction as well in terms of financial aid.
Yes.
We're going to be held accountable a few years out for employability of our graduates, even more so than we already are, and then the level of student debt per academic program. That's coming.
Oh, I know.
It's just a matter of time.
And these are all Title IV eligible for financial aid, these certificate programs, which is just, many will finish this without any debt.
Now, how is the face of higher ed changing, and we're getting into that at CU, and as well as more universally, and what further changes do you envision in the near future?
Well, I've actually been thinking about this specifically today. And if you think about funding, it's gone beyond the model of raising tuition every year to meet budget.
Right.
We've had to become very innovative in how we produce any type of stream of funding to continue to feed our programs and to run the university.
Right.
We are a nonprofit, and we do have federal aid for students, but still we have to be the creative piece in this changing demand. And again, most students come here, especially parents, and if you give them a financial aid package that involves taking out a loan, they're most likely to walk out of the room. So we're having to come up with ways to fill the gap. And we do a good job of raising scholarship money, and that's because we're the regional, southern regional part of the United States, least amount of debt for our students at Campbellsville University. We're proud of that, and in the state of Kentucky, least amount of debt. Right. And some folks don't understand how you can do that at a private school, but we do because we have the institutional aid, and we take advantage of the other.
Tuition frozen for 4 years consecutively now?
Yeah, we're moving into our fourth year. We have not raised our tuition. And again, that's because of the innovation of our programs that are bringing in more students in certain areas. If we're not willing to be creative and I made a note about liberal arts.
Right.
The liberal arts education is being challenged.
It is.
And I had to come to a point where we can't think of it as an enemy.
Right.
We have to work with that. I'm a liberal arts girl.
So am I.
And I
still argue for the importance of
absolutely,
liberal arts.
I do. I think the best workers have the influence of the arts in their educational experience.
Sure.
So,
but it's not for every
it's
student.
not for every student. But even so, with Campbellsville offering it, they are in an environment that is unique than just going to a technical college.
Right, right.
And many we're seeing. A lot of folks really like that, and they like that special
and
attention.
Added value is the Christian
and the Christian mission. Absolutely. And even if you're not a Christian, they appreciate that mission piece where we're serving and we're attentive and we care about our students.
Why did CU become involved? This really predates your tenure, but become involved years ago even in certificate, diploma, and other programs under the auspices of the Technology Center?
Well, I think it's going back to the changing face of higher education, and also we have more adult students.
Yeah.
They left high school, maybe they started a 4-year program and they had to drop out, they didn't finish, they had to go to work, they had families, and they're coming back wanting to find a steady income. I'm really pleasantly surprised at how quickly our LPN programs are filling up.
Good.
Because it's accessible to more folks. Because if you want to be an RN, that's pretty rigorous just to get into that program. And so it's a great starting point for those who want to be in the nursing profession. And the same with welding. I mean, welders make a good living. And so we're pushing that. And so it's that demand not only from what's coming from industry and the economy, and we're answering it. And, again, we've been questioned. Why are you doing that? You're a liberal arts institution, but we're meeting the demand, and we're answering that call for people who want to stay in their communities and be trained and work and stay home.
We're down to under a minute. Time passes quickly. What do you see for the future of CU?
I see us to continue to look outside the box, throw the box away, as we keep saying, whatever it takes to meet the needs of the folks that we are serving, and to continue our mission. I think that's number one, at least for me, and think of ways to continue serving this community, the Campbellsville area, and I think technology-wise, we're going to continue to change with the times as much as we can. Dr.
Donna Hedgepath, the Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost, thank you so much. Keep up the great work. You're doing a great job. And I might add, you're a very devoted member of Saloma Baptist Church.
Absolutely.
Among other activities she's engaged in at the state level as well. This is John Chowning with Donna Hedgepath for Dialogue on Public Issues.